Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And welcome to Liquid Kernedge. Dude, it has been a week. And it's only like, what, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? What day are we recording this? They all blend together now.
Yeah, they all blend together. Now, Friday is your party or Saturday's your party?
Saturday night. We are 2 days away from this recording from our Black Tie Gala down in Laughlin, Nevada.
Okay, so now people who are listening to the podcast, can they still get tickets?
No, we are sold out.
Oh,
we are sold out. It is so fancy, Jason. I had to rent a tuxedo. Bennett had to buy a tuxedo, and I'm not quite sure what Pemberton is doing.
Pemberton's going?
He's going to help, so he's got to wear a tux.
Oh, so wow, okay.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
I got to tell you, I went and I got my tuxedo. I just rented it this year. I figured we'll see how it goes before I commit to buying one.
Sure.
Turns out the price difference isn't that much different from buying versus renting, so I'll just buy one next year. But I went and I got the traditional tux.
Okay.
I ordered everything. It came in on Monday. I went in to go try it on, and I swear to God, man, I felt like I should be holding a plate of meatballs over my head on, I felt like a waiter.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what the hell are you talking about,
oh, man? Oh, my God. I feel like I belong like an Italian restaurant. Like I should be holding like spaghetti like Bob's Big Boy or something. My pants were so freaking baggy. And
so you have to get it you would have to get it, if you bought a tuxedo, that's the one thing nice about tuxedos, you can get it altered so it fits you.
Yeah, and once I figured out that I can adjust the waist, it shrunk that quite a bit, so it kind of helped out a little bit. But like the lower pant area felt really, really wide, almost like those Jenko jeans, like those wannabe homies used to wear back in the day. The big fat-legged ones.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's what it felt like to mine. So I walked out to the girl that was taking my money, and I was like, I didn't realize that the pant legs are so wide. And she goes, oh, well, yeah, you could have got a slim cut. This is just traditional, but that would have cost extra. I was like, I don't care if it cost extra. It could have been an option you told me when I tried to order the thing 2 weeks ago.
Where'd you go get your tux?
Just a local place here. There's only one place in town that I'll leave the name out. So
yeah,
there's only
okay.
one place.
No, it's okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, are you bringing a date or are you going solo?
No, man, I'm working this thing, so I gotta go solo.
Okay, I got you.
When you work and there's no time, then you have to entertain somebody, and then you got to go back and do your job. It's hard.
Well, I would expect then on the on the Facebook page for Liquid Kernedge on Sunday, I should see some really nice pictures posted so that every one of our fans can get a good glimpse of you.
Yeah, and I will say this. I will say this though about the place I rented the tuxedo. It wasn't a bad experience. It was just, and they're new to owning the business. I think it was a learning experience for everybody.
Okay.
I would just prefer not to be the one they're learning on.
I got you. All right. I like it. So, we got some really good comments this week from our executive producer, Tom. If you go to his Liquid Kernedge or his Kernedge EP_EP.
Liquid_EP.
Liquid_EP, you would see the comments in the notes. So we're going to work really hard on making sure that those notes go right to our brains and we record a great podcast. That being said, great turnout from last week's podcast. So we got a great listening of our last week's podcast. So I'm feeling pretty good that we'll have another great week this week.
Yeah. So I got the ultimate compliment today. I was getting my hair cut, getting ready for this weekend. About the show, and I was talking to my barber, and I'm using a new guy downtown at the Buzz in downtown Kingman, where you can have a beer and get your hair cut.
Oh, that's right, yeah. That's sponsored by the Rickety Cricket?
Yeah, it's owned by the Rickety Cricket, and there's Josh and Santana down there, and dude, Josh does a bang-up job cutting hair. Okay. And he goes, I know your last name's Kern, but all I can think of is Kernedge now, so in my head, you're always Scott Kernedge. So I'm like, oh, you're listening. I appreciate that.
Nice,
cool.
Nice.
So I figured, you know what? I'll give him a plug on the show. Go see Josh and Santana down at the Buzz. They are taking reservations or appointments only on Friday and Saturday. Otherwise, they're open 9 to 6 for walk-ins Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So go check them out. Just
another reach out too. We did add the state of Connecticut to our listening group. So we are now officially in 40 states. I'm trying to get Hawaii. We might have to go out there, buddy. We might have to go to Hawaii and get a listener out there.
Well, we did talk about the great Liquid Kernedge road trip. And Hawaii is not a road trip type destination spot, but I would be willing to go out there for our fans.
Oh, okay. Hey, maybe we need to do that. We need to go to the last 10 states and just do a road trip of those 10 states.
Are they all like separated throughout the country? So it'd be a really wide.
Like there's North and South. North and South Dakota are covered, I think. I'll have to look at the map, but we have a couple states. I think there's a couple states that we have in the Midwest, a couple in the South, and then a few in the North. Like I still have to get Maine. You know what? I'm doing a shout out to my daughter. She lives in Maine. I'm gonna get her to listen to one podcast so that
she hasn't been listening this entire time.
No. I've told her about it, but I don't think she's kind of an earthy girl, so I don't think she listens to podcasts.
Oh, but if we were on NPR, she'd be all about it.
Yeah, if it was NPR, yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
No offense to those that listen to NPR and are earthy. It's just a generalization that fits, so deal with it.
All right, I love it.
On to the topic tonight.
On to the topic tonight. No, it's funny because we are starting to share the same brain, my friend, because
we are.
This weekend, I in Phoenix, you in Kingman, did the same exact activity. And we're not talking about fondling ourselves.
Yeah. I should point out, though, that we have not talked since last week's show. We have not talked over the weekend. No. We did not know what each other was doing.
No, we didn't. But we both, movies were kind of tight this weekend. Not a lot of movies coming out. So you and I decided in different parts of the state to go see Death Wish.
Yes. The remake starring Bruce Willis, directed by Eli Roth.
Okay. Now, the reason why this is important, and we just found out about this when we started talking before recording this episode, is that my topic this week was to talk about vigilante justice and go over that. And then when I talked about it with you and you said, oh, I saw it, and you said, did you come up with this because of watching Death Wish? I just knew this was going to be our topic this week.
Yeah, it was without a doubt, man. My topic was dumb compared to this. We'll go to my topic.
Oh, no, your topic goes in the vault. Your topic goes in the vault.
We'll keep that for a rainy day. I want to talk about vigilante justice.
Well, for those of you who haven't watched the movie, you can pretty much understand what the movie's about. Something terrible happens to the main character with his family, and it's done by a criminal group of criminals. And the police obviously don't give enough to get the case solved. And so he decides to take it upon himself to distribute. Okay, so let me sum up with my thoughts on Death Wish like this before you get going on yours. If you have seen Home Alone and if you have seen Die Hard, it is like a mashup of those two movies, and it is fun. It's a fun movie. I don't know if I would have equated Home Alone and Die Hard. Die Hard, definitely. Home Alone,
It was definitely Home Alone mixed in there at the end. That end scene with the machine gun, you cannot tell me that was not Home Alone-esque. Well, that's true. That is true. That was kind of Home Alone-esque, I guess. Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So before we get into the vigilante justice, I don't mean to talk over you, but I forgot to plug our social media, and I don't want Tom to knock us on that. But make sure you're leaving your comments about vigilante justice on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, all at Liquid Kernedge on the social media sites. Jason, go ahead, proceed, please. No, I think the first question is, vigilante justice, by definition, is someone that's not a part of law enforcement taking the law into their own hands and basically, doing something to correct a wrong that has been committed to them. Yeah. Okay. Would you ever be a vigilante? That was part of the first question. How about this? I can totally understand how a vigilante justice works. Mm-hmm. Totally get it. I totally get it. Someone does something bad to your family, and it's only natural for you to want to get even. To want to right the wrong, as it were. So I guess from a logical standpoint, I totally understand and get it. From my own perspective, I think the problem I have is that you don't know whether whatever crime or whatever justice you give will really be enough if it's, especially, for example, if someone raped and murdered Noreen, murdering them would not be enough, right? No, so what level do you take the justice to right the wrong? Do you ever have momentary flashes of vigilante justice throughout the day where you see something that just, even on a smaller level, that bothers you so much, you're like, God, if I could just, and you just have your own mental daydream of what you could do to that person just to show them what you're angry about? I do have that happen all the time on the roads, and I got to tell you, there is nothing
finer than when you're driving and someone's driving like a bat out of hell, and then about 10 miles down the road, they've been pulled over.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's not vigilante justice, but there's something so sweet about seeing that. And I just want to flip the person off, like, dude, don't even start with me, man. Don't even start with me.
Your idea of vigilante justice is way different than mine, I'll give you that much.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing, is that, I mean, a vigilante justice is, is different for everybody. But assuming that vigilante justice is righting a wrong, I would say that some vigilante justice, for example, someone parks in a parking space, takes up too much parking space. Vigilante justice might be breaking their windshield. Or it could be just writing a note saying, hey, asshole, you parked wrong.
No, and just looking at the other side, would you not call that rage issues instead of vigilante justice? Because I would say if you're going to break their window, that's a rage issue. If you want to take matters into your own hand, that's when you take the chains out of your truck, latch them to the axle of the other guy's car, and you pull him into the proper spot.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'd never looked at it from that perspective. So I take it that you could be a vigilante justice administrator.
Given the right opportunity, I could, but sometimes I get so irritated with people that it's best I don't. God forbid you're ever in a role like Bruce Willis was in this movie, where the man's family is essentially killed. His wife is killed and his daughter's put in a coma, and you can take matters into your own hand. I don't endorse that by any means, especially out here in the Wild West, man. And in today's world, who knows what the hell could happen if you try to do that? Everyone's carrying a gun or some kind of weapon, so it's just kind of a scary time as it is,
But do we think that part of the vigilante justice is invariably, as people, we want things to be right, and we feel helpless when those rights are not administered by law enforcement, right?
Oh, I think so.
The definition of vigilante is a member of a self-appointed group of citizens who law enforcement in their community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate.
It's really no different than those groups that go roam around the bigger cities that think they're superheroes. So they dress up like superheroes patrolling the night. Have you seen those stories?
I have. What about the horsemen guys that watch the border in Arizona? Those guys. Oh,
also vigilante justice.
Yeah, I don't remember what the name of that, but you know what group I'm talking about. These guys basically they take the law in their own hands to make sure that no immigrants come over illegally over the border.
Yeah. There's a lot of varieties of vigilante justice, and I think it depends on how badly you feel like you've been hurt to the level of vigilante justice you should be taking on, if you decide to take it on.
With your father being in law enforcement, he's probably had to deal with this kind of idea, right? I mean, he's probably seen it or heard of it or done it. What is the law enforcement, as much as you can elaborate with him not being here, what does law enforcement think of vigilante justice?
I can't comment on that because I don't know. I'm not in law enforcement, so I'm not sure what their thought processes are.
What's your dad's thought process on it?
It's funny. He was in the Highway Patrol for 35 years, and we really never heard any stories about what happened when he was working until the very end.
Okay.
Right before his retirement. And to this day, he still doesn't talk about a lot of things. So I don't know.
Okay.
I assume he's like most policemen. They carry guns concealed everywhere they go. They're always looking out. I'm not sure if it's considered vigilante justice if they have to do something off duty. But I wouldn't mind if something happened. There's a police officer that is off duty and could handle the situation. Hey man, more power to you, because I don't exactly carry a weapon on me anywhere I go.
Well, I think that one of the things that I keep coming back to is, and maybe it's just appropriate because of all the talk we're getting now about, guns and gun safety, and more people should be carrying, and we'd have a safer community.
Would we have a safer community?
I don't know. The argument, I see the arguments for, if you have more people who are armed, who are law-abiding citizens, but could administer vigilante justice, then maybe we would be safer. Maybe some of these bad things that happen in schools and maybe in bars and maybe some of those bad things would not be as graphic or maybe not even happen at all if someone or many people had the ability to apply justice right then and there and to, have that right, have the right administered right then and there. On the other hand, I don't know if vigilante justice should work like that. At least a law enforcement officer is trained, right? They have been trained in certain things that are important to us. Like
essentially, what you're saying is you want martial law if you're on that side of the fence, or you want everybody to be able to carry a gun and distribute justice the way they see fit.
Yeah, I mean, the proponents of everyone gets to carry and everyone can administer the law is that you would have a better chance of stopping a crime or stopping the size of a crime being committed if more people had guns on them to be able to stop the crime.
The problem is, though, when you're empowering people to stop a crime when they see it, what is a crime becomes interpretive. And when it becomes interpretive, that's when things get hazy and shit goes to fuck. And bottom line, what you deem a crime versus what I deem a crime can be two different things. And I don't think the neighbor across the street should be executed, per se, because of what you deem something so heinous. And I was like, it's just what Ron does.
Well, yeah, and some like I read the story about the lady in Walmart who was seeing a kid shoplift and decided to pull out her gun out of her purse and shoot the kid. Now, I don't think the kid died, but the administering of justice in that scenario, I think she got arrested and convicted of a crime. I don't think that.
I hope she got the fuck suit out of her too. To be honest with you, that's just stupid.
Well,
it's for goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So now, obviously, part of the issue too for vigilante justice is would a vigilante, if I was going to administer justice on anything that I saw, would I have the ability to say, okay, this kid's shoplifting, so baton to the knee. This person's raping a woman, shoot his penis off. I mean, would I be able to interpret the right crime the right solution or administering of justice to a crime?
I think even if you had a flow chart, of this crime,
vigilante
the vigilante flow chart, like this crime, you can do this punishment if you see fit. Because at some point, the police do have to step in. Even you as the vigilante needs to be taken in for questioning and all that. And if the flow chart doesn't fit, man, you're in a
can't quit. If the flow chart don't fit, you can't quit.
Thank you, Johnny Cochran.
I'm Johnny Cochran. Rest in peace, brother.
Rest in peace. But you can't do that, and I don't think you can put that kind of power into our world today. Our world is so divided. It's so divided. There is no gray area. It is black and it is white. There is nothing in between. And that is the problem we're in. You're either on the we should get rid of every gun, or we should hoard all the guns.
Buy more guns. Buy more guns.
You can't tell me what I'm doing. You don't know the Second Amendment. Exactly. There's no differentiation between the two.
So, what would you say? So I'm not gonna play devil's advocate, but I'm just gonna put out there. I want to argue that, hey, I should have the right to take care of the person who wrongs my family. And I think that somewhere in most of us, we can understand that feeling. We understand you want justice and you want it to be administered. The Bible even says an eye for an eye, right? I mean, you have that in the Bible as a justifiable resolution to a wrong that's been placed against you. Mm-hmm. So our current police officers are overworked, or they're understaffed, or they're not capable of solving many crimes. I wouldn't even have an estimate of how many unsolved murders there are in the United States.
Yeah.
what would you say to the person that said, if I know as a citizen that person A murdered a little girl B, and the police have not found them, but I know that he did it, why can't I take care of that? Why do we want this person A to be in this world? Why can't I take care of that? What would your argument to that be?
If you know he did it, and you have the evidence that he did it, why are you not going to the police with it?
Well, because the police obviously don't care, right? They're understaffed. They got other murders going on. They got other kids they're trying to do.
No one said they don't care. It's if you have something, a piece of information they don't, and you're not taking it to them, that's a morality issue, isn't it?
Well, some might argue that, hey, if I could administer the justice right here, I'm doing the world a favor.
Because
I'm doing the world a favor by getting rid of this person. At
that point, though, how many people start withholding evidence just so they can administer their own justice and give the finger to due process?
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, I'm just trying to put out there.
Oh, I know, but once you start the idea of vigilante justice, you start the idea of martial law, and once you start the idea of martial law, you can't undo that.
Well, yeah, the other thing I think about too is, and one thing that it seems to get glazed over in this whole talk about people who can administer their own justice and everyone should be carrying guns. We have soldiers who are trained to fight and kill people who are enemies of us, who come back with the worst post-traumatic stress disorder because of the things that they've done and the things that they've seen in times of war. Why people don't think that if you actually go and shoot someone and kill them, why you're going to be oblivious or you're going to be inoculated from that same sort of stress that our soldiers who are trained professionally to do this come back and deal with so many mental health issues. Why a simple citizen doesn't look at that and say, you think you're just going to kill someone and it's not going to have an impact on you?
But to what level, though? I mean, are you willing to let the general public operate on their own? When it comes to this kind of justice, if the world even comes to that. I mean,
yeah.
What's the cutoff?
There are some people that are not, in my opinion, should not vote.
Yeah. Well,
they have the right to, and I respect that they have the right to, but they really shouldn't vote because they are just not. There are the same type of people that really, 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 really should not administer justice. They should not do it. It's not in their wheelhouse. So just stay away from it. Let the police officers handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember one time I walked into the Walmart in Kingman, and there was a guy who was carrying an assault rifle. He was carrying an AR-15 into the Walmart. The first thing in my head was, what is going to be happening at the Walmart that this guy has to carry an AR-15 into the Walmart?
I've been very intrigued with the arguments about AR-15s lately because of all the school shootings and whatnot. That seems to be the gun of choice. And I'm always curious to see what the arguments are. The people that are for it, that are pro-gun, are always, well, you can't take away my right to have a gun. All right, fine, I get it. If it's registered, you've taken the class, I don't care. Whatever. I assume you're a hobbyist or an enthusiast, so you know how to properly take care of your weapons. However, though, I'm not sure how you can justify a semi-automatic weapon like that as a hunting rifle. And that's what they're doing.
Well, I mean, now, in all fairness, when we lived up in Alaska, my dad back in the 80s had an AR-15, and it's a beautiful weapon for hunting deer because deer are so fast that you need a fast bullet. You need to be able to fire quickly, and it's a small enough bullet that it doesn't do a lot of damage because it's going so fast it goes through the deer. That part, I mean, I would argue that. And I have to be honest, I would argue that if you looked at the population of gun owners, 99.7% of them are responsible. They are, law-abiding citizens who would never use the weapon to commit a crime, And so the hard part is that we isolate, like I said, the AR-15 in these shooting type of situations, but the reality is the majority of citizens are law-abiding citizens that would never commit a crime. That being said, I don't want to see the 56-year-old woman take out a 22 out of her purse and shoot a kid who's shoplifting.
Yeah, I mean,
even though my mind, I can say, God, yeah, this kid is raising the prices for everything when he steals and he's committing a crime and he's a punk. Yeah, give him a little shot in the knee, give him a little shot in the stomach. You know what I mean? But
a little shot. It's not like you're giving him a love tap with a baton. I mean, I'm just saying, that seems like it's a little extreme if a kid's stealing a pack of gum or what the hell? You can't steal video games, and if he's stealing a CD, the kid's just an idiot. It's 2018. You know,
I think that would be the biggest thing I would say that, you know, like when I was watching the movie, I totally understood what he was thinking. I totally understood. If that was happening in the real world, and let's take it from this step. If that was happening in the real world in Kingman, and you were saying, oh my gosh, the death of drug dealer slime bags has gone up 58% in the last 2 weeks because someone is taking out drug dealing slime bags. Would we have a problem with it? But would you really have a problem to say, oh my gosh, our city is in total chaos?
I can't argue with your logic in that. I really can't. I really can't. I guess my argument for this discussion is we are not capable of drawing the line of right and wrong. Someone and again, it's just because the joke doesn't mean it's wrong. A vigilante flowchart is not the worst idea in the world if it ever came down to that. Like if someone's going to kill drug dealers because their kid OD'd on drug man, fine. You know what? You can turn them into the cops, but if you want to take the risk and go out and do that, that's on you. I can tell you all day long, hey man, don't do that. That's a dumb idea, but you're still going to do it. So, you know.
The one last question I'll put out there is, does the crime lean a justification for vigilante justice over another? Like, does one crime that affects one family versus one crime that affects an entire community, does that change your ability to justify vigilante justice?
I don't think it ever justifies vigilante justice. We have law enforcement for a reason, and they do their jobs as best they can with the resources they have. And I think to take law into your own hands is an insult to that law enforcement group because you're not giving them the credit or the time they need to do their job properly. Just because something's not happening as fast as you want it to happen doesn't mean things aren't happening. You know?
Yeah, I get that point.
You know, and that's just it. It's you look at something like Death Wish. Yeah, you know, it was a fun movie. It was a cool movie. I get it. You know, for what happened to that guy's wife gets shot, daughter gets put in a coma. Yeah, man, I might go a little nuts too. But I don't know I don't know how far I go. And I guess the moral of the story is you never know how far you're going to go until you get pushed over the edge.
Okay, so we can either do one of two things. We can either talk about the top 10 vigilante movies of all time, or we can talk about the top 5 cases of vigilante justice that was not punished by law enforcement, or, you know, when they got caught, they were acquitted or they were given leniency.
Hold on, let me check out the EP real quick and see what he says. Hey, Tom, lists, what do you think? Okay, he said since you have to do one, do the top 5 real-life vigilantes that did not get punished.
Okay. So here's the first one. Joan Mills was engaged to a man named Richard Wilson. But she also had a little bit of a wild streak in her. She liked to party, she liked to do drugs, she liked to have sex with strange men. Wow, talk about a classy chick. While on a Los Angeles business trip in 1983, Mills went out partying with a guy named Jeffrey Parker. In the early morning of April 30th, paramedics were called to a hotel room where Parker was staying. They found Mills lifeless and Parker frantically trying to revive her. However, it looked like Parker's CPR attempt was what actually killed the 33-year-old woman. Mills' family pushed for an arrest, and Parker was charged with murder. But before the trial started, someone came up to his house and shot him twice in the head. Turned out that it was actually the fiancé, Richard Wilson. That is until the police got an anonymous tip telling him that Mills' fiancé, Richard Wilson, was responsible for Parker's murder. Under questioning, Richard's older brother said his brother told him that he planned to kill Parker and then bragged about it when Parker was dead. So Wilson was arrested and charged with murder. He went on trial in 1986, pled not guilty. The trial lasted 4 months, and Wilson's lawyers were able to discredit the testimony of the eyewitness, and after 2 days of deliberations, he was found not guilty. So that was the case that he got his justice, but the case against him wasn't that great.
Yeah.
So the next, shortly after midnight on January 31st, 18-year-old Renee Ark and 20-year-old David Hilo were painting graffiti under the Hollywood Freeway underpass when former Marine William Masters confronted them. The version of the story that Masters tells is that he wrote down their license plate, then Aker and Hilo threatened him with a screwdriver and demanded the paper and his wallet. Feeling threatened, Masters took out his gun and shot the two young men. After the shooting, Masters became a hero to some people. During interviews, however, he made quite a few controversial remarks, such as how he was convinced that no court could find 12 people who would convict him.
Oh, wow.
So basically, he saw two kids putting up graffiti and decided he was going to, take the law into his own hands.
Wow.
But basically, in the end, the district attorney's office didn't charge Masters with murder because they thought it was self-defense. He was only convicted of carrying a concealed and loaded firearm in public. He was ordered to get rid of all of his guns, serve 3 years of probation, and spend 30 days cleaning up graffiti.
Jeez. You know what?
To me, that sounds a little drastic.
That's a little much. That's a little much. Okay, what's the next one?
Next one. Just outside Alvin, Texas, on December 7, 2012, David Barajas' truck ran out of gas. He and his two sons, 12-year-old David Jr. and 11-year-old Caleb, were pushing the truck down a rural road near their home. 20-year-old Jose Banda, who had been drinking, was driving down the same road. He collided with the truck and the two boys. The crash killed David Jr. on impact, while Caleb died at the hospital. Banda also wouldn't leave the crash site alive, as he was shot in the head. David Barajas was charged with murder, as authorities believe that after the crash, he went to his home, which was a short distance away, got his gun, returned to the crash site, and shot Banda dead. During the trial, Barajas' lawyers argued that there wasn't much physical evidence linking his client to the crime. Indeed, the gunshot residue test performed on Barajas' hand came back negative. In addition, the gun was never found. The district attorney, on the other hand, argued that Barajas had both the motive and the opportunity to commit the crime. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours and acquitted him of all charges. Now, see, to me, I totally am justified. Someone broke the law, careless, selfishly killed my two children, my two sons.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with ending this guy. I have no problem. Now, see that, and maybe that's the thing for me. Maybe there needs to be that emotional connection to whatever crime it is.
Yeah.
That makes it different. So. Because, I'm sorry, is someone raped and murdered Noreen, or did something like raped her and did something horrible to her? At that point, that person is no longer human to me. That person is a piece of trash that you just throw away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, maybe the emotional attachment of the crime would make a difference to my ability to administer vigilante justice.
Well, I think that emotional attachment is what really the kicker is that makes it vigilante justice. I think if you're going to have that emotion kicked in, that's where that becomes a crime of passion at that point. People hear the word passion, they think, oh, it's just love. It's the steamy stuff. No, man, if something that just drives you so deeply crazy, or you love so much and it's gone, and you do something about it, and you kill someone, you take matters in your own hands, that becomes vigilante justice, because that emotion just pushes you over the edge.
And basically says, be damned, I'm not going to wait for the police, I'm just going to get it done. Exactly.
Wow.
Well, I was going to do 5. I'm going to leave it at 3. I think we got the point that we both are law-abiding citizens that would never, ever do vigilante justice. But, dude, if someone rapes you and murders you,
will you avenge me?
I'm going after him, buddy.
I hope so.
And the executive producer are going after him.
Yeah, Tom's too busy for that stuff. He'll probably find an excuse.
Well, hey, I'll go after him, and then we'll record a Liquid Kernedge in your honor.
They'll probably just use a defense like he forgot his safe word.
Oh, true. Yeah. You can't rape the willing. You can't rape the willing defense.
Yeah. So I'm not. I'm not too overly concerned. Plus, I'm a very large man. I'm 6'1", 250 pounds. So
she's going to be a big raper, that's for sure. She's going to be huge, dude. That's a big woman who's going to rape you, buddy.
Hey, find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Liquid Kernedge. Talk to our executive producer, Tom, Liquid_EP on Twitter. Give us your thoughts on Vigilante Justice. Give us your thoughts on any future shows you might want to hear. We do want to hear from you.
We got plenty of room for you, and if you can coordinate it, we'll definitely get you on the show. We'd love to have you.
I think so. All right, Jason, why don't you take us out of here?
All right. Well, that was Scott. I'm Jason, and as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.